I'm pleasantly surprised that there are so many people that are interested in what's commonly called cutting the cord. I'm going to make some assumptions. First of all, that you all have computers or smartphones and know how to use them. Of course, you're using them, right now, and you know how to use the internet because you had to get to the internet to go over here. You're 90% there if we've done all that. There's a group that exists on Facebook. I presume everybody knows what Facebook is too, and it's called Cord Cutting Tech Support, and it's not technical at all. It's very generic and general. And if it needs to be said, this meeting today is going to be as non-technical as I can make it, because this is really not hard stuff. So with that in mind, there was a post in this group, and I'll just read it to you. It says, "I'm ready to cut the cord. Cable is my biggest bill after rent, and that's just not right. Once I return their boxes and whatever equipment, I do have to get an antenna. We'll talk about that. I have Roku, and I'll be catching all my shows through the Pluto application." So having said that, there's a whole bunch of people out there who are just sick and tired of the size of the bill that you get from Comcast. I will tell you, one of the other things that I do is I sit on the Longmeadow Cable TV Committee, and we're a committee under the guise of the town, and we act as the liaison between the town and Comcast. One of the things that we have no control over are the rates that they charge. So I wish I could cut the rates for all of us here in town, but I can't. However, what we can maybe talk about are some ways that you can get around that huge bill. And I'm presuming most everybody is at $100, $150, $200 a month. Does that sound right? Yeah. You can get that down as low as $49. And hopefully that y'all are sort of interested in that a little bit. Before we get into a few more of the details, I also sit on the Board of Trustees of the Cable TV Access Station that exists here in Longmeadow and is in the high school. That's a separate corporation that produces, the content that you see if you happen to come in on those low number channels, or the 809 channel, the high definition channel. And I've got some background in all of this. My present job is I'm a lawyer, but long before I was a lawyer, I was involved in the broadcast industry, and actually in the early stages of cable TV coming into the greater Springfield area. So a fair amount of experience in all of this. So how do you go about cutting the cord? The question that I think you need to ask, first question, you want some level of TV channels. The other question is, though, do you want to watch the local channels? Channel 22, Channel 40, 61, public broadcasting, WGBY. If you want to watch the local stations because you like the weathercaster or you like the newscaster on 40 at 6 o'clock in the morning, you have to make a decision. There's two ways that you can get the local channels. One, you can put an antenna up. I'm sure all of you are old enough to remember houses, with big antennas sticking up on the roof, usually tied off to the chimney. They would go up maybe 10, 15 feet. And they'd be big metal monstrosities. That antenna picks up the television transmitting stations, and it's called over-the-air or OTA. It's the same. Nothing's changed. If you want to watch the local television channels, you can just put up an antenna. You don't need to put something up on your roof, because one of the things that's changed is everything is digital now. It used to be everything was what was called analog, and when you had a bad analog signal, your TV screen would be filled with snow. I don't know if you notice it, but there's no snow anymore because digital doesn't work that way. Digital is either on or off. So what you get when you lose a digital signal, you get big blocks of the picture disappear, or it pixelates, which means everything has like square corners, and sometimes the sound becomes choppy. That's what digital signals do. So the good news is you don't need to put up a big antenna on your roof. You can if you want to. If you want to reach out and pull in the Boston stations directly on air, you can spend as much money as you want and put those things up. But for the most part, you can just get an antenna. Now, if anybody tries to tell you there's a thing called high definition antennas, they don't exist. They're just trying to get an extra 20 bucks from you. So there's no high def antennas. There's just an antenna. And I mean, I suppose you remember those rabbit ears on the top of your set. Sometimes that antenna, rabbit ears might be good enough, of course, depending on where you live and what the line of sight, if you will, looks like between you and the TV station. You know, rabbit ears on the TV set might be fine. One of those antennas scotch taped up on the wall, that might be enough as well. All of those things will bring in the local channels, and the new TVs, you know, they have features that the TV scan and it finds all channels that you might want to pick up, and it sets your TV to it, and you'll just get those channels. So there's no such thing as high definition over the air, or antennas that are high definition over the air. There is high definition over the air that's coming to signal, but the antenna, don't spend extra money for it. They're very, very inexpensive. So the alternative to over the air is a service from Comcast for just the most basic of TV service. It's just the local channels. And it costs $9 a month. And the little box that they give you is a small little black box. It's about, maybe that big. It's called a DTA, or Digital Transport Adapter, I think is what it is. And it gets you the local channels, just as if you had that antenna. Of course, you pay for the privilege of having it, but you know, that's your choice if you want to do that or not. When Comcast gets into the pricing of the internet, they actually make it cheaper for you to add that DTA to the internet bill, to the internet bill, than if you were to go it alone, because they want to be able to get a little more money for you, and they make it financially easier for you. That little box replaces the set-top box that you presently have, and it just picks up the local channels. There's, I don't know, maybe 7 or 9 of them. Plus you get all the music channels if you like listening to Comcast music service. You get some of those shopping channels as well if you're interested in that. And it's only $9 a month. They don't charge you for the little box. Where if you have a high definition box at home, Comcast, you're paying for that every single month. So there's no charge for that piece of hardware, that DTA. So there's two ways, again, so there's two ways of bringing in the local channels. One is pay $9 a month for Comcast, or put up an antenna. It's really that simple. Any questions on that part of it? Let me just look and see if. Nope, nothing.
And I'm sorry, I broke up a little bit, but the antennas are available like
Anywhere.
Best Buy, that kind of thing? Yeah, okay.
Anywhere. Buy the cheapest one you can find at Walmart, or I go to Walmart before I even went to Best Buy. But they're the cheapest thing you can find, and don't let them sell you on a high definition antenna. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Now, is that antenna with the local stations?
Yes. The whole purpose of the antenna is to bring in the local station.
Okay.
So it's just a digital antenna is what you're saying to get, not high def.
It's just an antenna.
Okay,
It's just an antenna that's capable of picking up the frequencies that these TV stations transmit on.
copy that.
And the only thing that's really changed is the low channels, channels 2 through 6, what used to be 2 through 6. We would only get 3 here. Only channel 3 was available. But those low channels went away. The spectrum, if you will, was taken over by the FCC and is used for other things. So there's only the higher channels, and there never really was a 7, 8 was down in New Haven, I think.
Right.
10 and 11 was PIX out of New York.
Yeah.
But after 14, it became the UHF channels.
Right. Right.
22, 40, 61, which is the local version of 3, 57, those sorts of things. So nothing special.
Where do you put the antenna?
I put it on top. Well, if it comes with a mounting bracket, I put it on top of the TV or off to the side. See what it gets.
And do you need one for every television?
No, you could actually, if you have an antenna, any kind of an antenna, you can split that antenna and feed all your other TVs. The same way your cable comes in and it splits and it feeds all your TVs. The same thing with the antenna. It uses that same kind of cable, and you'd get one of those splitter boxes, and you'd run one to one TV and one to the other. Pretty clear on that part? Oh, lost you. Tell me what's difficult.
We have TVs on 3 floors,
Okay.
and I don't know how I would connect a single antenna to have all of those televisions on the various sites coming in.
Well, you have your cable TV comes into the house, right?
Correct.
And somewhere along the way, it splits into 3 separate wires,
Okay.
right? Each wire goes to one of those TVs.
So then I would find where it splits.
Yeah.
And in some fashion attach the antenna to those 3 wires.
Yeah.
Or in my
You could
case,
just-
5
you could just
wires.
Connect that. You could connect that antenna directly up to that TV.
Okay.
I mean, they're very expensive.
Okay.
Or on the other hand, you might be a candidate for that DTA since it's just the cable wire, which is already there anyway.
Right. It's worth $108 a year.
What's $108 a year?
$9 a month times 12.
$9 a month. Yeah.
I got to tell you, I just looked at Amazon and they're about $10 to $14. I probably just put one on each TV
Yep. That's
Yeah.
right.
at that price
That's right.
Yeah.
I'd buy
instead
one.
of trying to wire.
I'd buy one first, and I'd see how your reception is with your TVs, whatever part of town you're living in.
Mm.
I'm willing to bet it'll work because first of all, the digital quality is just far superior. It doesn't have to be up in the air 30 feet. It can just be right in your bedroom or right next to the TV in the living room.
You said that you get the local, but my friends have these antennas and they're saying they don't get channel 22 or there's certain ones they don't get. Is that typical?
Here's the problem. If I remember correctly, channel 22, their transmitter is up to the north and to the west a little bit on top of Proven Mountain. In order to get channel 22, you have to have your antenna pointing at their transmitter.
Okay.
Now, if you want channel 61, that's all the way over to the east. So you need an antenna pointing at them.
Inside your house. Okay.
Inside your house, yeah. I mean, some people put them up in their attic. Some people still put a mast outside and put them up in the air a little bit. It all depends on what you want to watch. Although $9 a month to Comcast, and believe me, I'm not in favor of increasing their revenue stream. $9 a month to get you, the crystal clear pictures, and some music. We have their music on a lot. I think that's a better deal. let's talk about the real reason that we're here today, and that is to pull in the internet to get what is called streaming channels. You've heard the phrase, you've heard those terms, I presume. Streaming channels. Have you heard about, you know what a Roku is or a smart TV? Yeah. All of those devices exist to be able to let you watch the literally thousands of channels that are available out on the internet. In order to do that, you need an internet connection. I'm presuming most of you have one already. That's what you're using now. So to jump onto the streaming networks is just getting a little box. Well, if you have a smart TV, it's all set up to do it automatically. But the other thing to do is to get a Roku or an Amazon Fire Stick. That's, you know, one of the other ones. There's a couple of different manufacturers out there that make these devices that let you bring in all of these streaming channels. Some of them are for free. Some of them come as packages. So, for example, if you want to watch Netflix, it's Netflix now, about $13 a month, roughly. Another one is Hulu. I think Hulu is about $8 or $9 a month. Our family gets by with Netflix and Hulu and the thousands of other channels that are available out there. We have an Amazon membership, so that automatically comes with an Amazon Prime, all the channels that are in Amazon Prime.
Yeah, yeah.
There's lots and lots of stuff out there. And of course, how much money you spend, you know, is entirely up to you. If you want 3 channels of HBO and 2 channels of Stars, you know, you're gonna pay for that.
Right.
And then you wind up with a cable bill that's
More than,
bill, if you will.
more than.
Go ahead. So the real key in cutting the cord, because you're not really cutting the cord at all, but what you are doing is you're downgrading your services. The question becomes, how much internet do I need in order to watch and do all the computer and TV things that I want to do? Internet speed is measured in a thing called megabits per second, MBS. Most of the people at Comcast don't understand the difference between megabits and megabytes, and you and I don't need to understand it either, because they all use, even though they mispronounce it or misname it, it's all the same thing. So the bigger that number, the bigger the pipe, if you will, that all of these signals use to come into your home. Yeah, right. It's a pipe. The lowest tier that Comcast offers is 25 MPS, and they charge $49.95, $50 a month for that. Is that enough? Do you need more? The answer to those questions are, how much do I need? How many smartphones do you have? How many laptops do you have? How many TVs do you have? Is anybody watching 4K? Are your TVs 4K? Because 4K versus regular high def, which is 1K, that's a huge amount of data difference. So you need much more. You need a bigger pipe to push all that data through. I personally, I have their 100 MPS, and that costs me $78 a month and $9 for that little DTA. It's like $91 a month. The only reason I have it is I stay connected into my office a lot. I work from home a lot. So I need that fast connection going up and down, back and forth between my home and my office computers. But for anyone else, You have to figure out how much you have. So anybody got more than 2 TVs running at the same time? One or some of you. How many cell phones are on? 1, 2, 2. Yeah, that's normal. What else? Anybody into gaming? Anybody using a lot of gaming? Because gaming eats up a lot of bandwidth, right? So if you're
Computers, laptops,
laptops,
and computers.
well, the truth of the matter is most of these things don't use very much bandwidth at all. So, for example, what we're doing today, video streaming, that uses a lot of bandwidth because my camera is on all the time, and your cameras are on all the time. So that's a high demand function. But I think if you'll notice, the picture hasn't been jumping around very much. As I look at you, none of your pictures are jumping around. And I'm presuming all of you looking at all of everybody else, nobody's jumping around very much. Even when if you move your hands, if you move your hand and then the picture jumps and keeps up with it, that's jitter, and it's caused because the TV is trying to catch up, is waiting to catch up to the data stream. So how much do you need? It's a question of how much stuff you got going. And the good news is, if you start out low at 25, you can always increase. Comcast would love to sell you up, to the next tier up if it turns out it doesn't work.
What happened with me is I would be watching streaming and it would stop. And it would just a little circle would go on the screen.
Yep.
And finally you catch it and they said, oh, you don't have enough speed or
Right.
whatever it was. Yeah.
So what level did you go up to?
I don't know. Whatever Comcast is offering, that's where I'm at.
Well, Comcast offers 25, 100, 200, 300, 640, and almost a megabyte, which is huge.
Not that high, no.
Yeah, not that high. So
Maybe 300.
I believe it's actually a gig. I think it's 50 megabyte. The thing you want to be careful with that is make sure your hardware can handle what you're paying for.
right.
And Comcast will answer that. So if you're buying 50 meg, make sure that whatever router they have in place, because a lot of people don't get their routers upgraded over the years, and you could be paying for something that the pipe won't be able to push through to your home. So
Let's talk about hardware for a moment. Are all of you or most of you renting all your stuff from Comcast?
Yes.
no, I own it.
Yeah, I own all my own gear too. You don't have to pay them the, what is it, $13, $15 a month that they charge you for their modem and maybe separately for the router. You don't have to do that. You can go to Best Buy or Amazon, and buy one. Just make sure it's compatible with Comcast.
But do they support that if you have a problem?
Absolutely. A number of years ago, they said, oh, well, it's not ours. And anyway, some of the telecom companies that make that hardware took them to the FCC. And the FCC said, no, you can't stop people from owning their own terminal equipment. That's nuts.
Okay.
So originally, they were all too happy to try to tell you no. But now, with so many of us out here doing this, my rule for electronics, by the way, is if it works for the first 30 seconds, it'll probably work for the next 3 years. If it doesn't go poof, catch fire and burn up right away, it'll go for the life of the unit.
Okay.
So, I don't know, Michael, was that your comment about updating equipment? No, I can only see a few of you at the same time. It's a good idea. I wouldn't, every time there's a new something out, I wouldn't go buy it. But I would, if you got an old router in your house, I would get a new one. They're really much better. They carry much further. They don't get interrupted as much. They're not all that expensive, $150, maybe $200. But you have to remember, if you're renting that stuff, every month you're paying for it. So the payout is anywhere between 10 months and maybe a year and then you own it, and it's yours for free, and you're not paying Comcast every month for it.
I think you can buy it from them too, can't you? Doesn't Comcast let you buy if you want?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I'm wrong. I thought it said if you want to rent or buy. Yeah.
Well, they'd be buying this. Well, maybe they get a discount for buying large quantities, but
Yeah.
Amazon's good, Best Buy's good. They're all selling.
Amazon.
Question.
Yeah.
I had bought my own router way back, and then had problems. I got a new one. I didn't get an expensive one. I got like $50. I don't have a whole lot of things going on. Not many people here. But then I think it was within the last year, they said, your program, you need a new modem. And they said the new modem has the router in it, so you don't have to have your router of your own.
Right.
Now, I don't know if I can't figure out if they are now charging you a router rental charge because this modem has the router in it.
It wouldn't surprise me if they do, but here's the problem when you have one device that's really two devices. If the router dies, you have to replace the modem as well if they're all built into one. And if the modem dies and the router's fine, you have to go out and replace both of them at the same time.
You have to have both?
You need what is called a modem, M-O-D-E-M. And that's the device that takes the cable TV signals and translates them into content that you can watch.
Okay.
The router is a device that sort of spreads it all around throughout your house. Sometimes wirelessly, sometimes through a cable. But the router is the one that spreads the signals out to whatever devices that you may have.
Okay.
Well, I saved my old router, but of course, I don't know if I'll be able to determine if something goes bluey, whether it's the router or the modem.
The way to figure that out, it's the same thing. If you call Comcast and you do a diagnostic session with Comcast, Comcast will tell you to plug your computer directly into the modem. Because and they call that a home run. If you do that, and all of a sudden it's working without any problems at all, then the problem's the router.
And then I could take my old router out and plug it into the modem and then have that serve as the router, I suppose.
Sure, of course. Of course. Other questions?
Well, the main thing, or one of the things I love about Comcast is I use their DVR, their recorder. So I don't DVR.
That's one of the pluses that you get with their packages.
Right.
Some of the applications that you can sign up for also includes DVR service.
Oh, really? Oh.
Or you can buy a standalone DVR. I don't do a lot of that, so I can't tell you how many hours you get of recording time. I do know you need a separate tuner for each one. So if you want to record 4 programs at the same time, you need 4 separate tuners inside that box. But you can, as you start to explore, well, what exactly do I want? Many of them do offer a DVR along with their package.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Because I don't like commercials, so I record everything and then watch it later.
Yeah, just blast right on through them.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Hey, Norm,
Yes.
if I could offer a quick fix to that young woman who was asking about multiple TVs, if she has either Comcast or DTV like I had, I ended up getting a rooftop antenna with a rotor. And I used the existing cables from the DTV, and it works fine. And I have 5 sets, and they all come in. But so like you said, you have to turn the antenna once in a while if you want a different station. Some will come in clear, some won't. So you just move it briefly, and I picked them all up.
It's just like the old days. You know, you had a big
Right,
antenna on
and,
the
and
roof.
it's not right, and it's not expensive.
No, not expensive at all.
Right.
Yeah, good idea.
And right now, out at camp, I'm using my phone, the hotspot,
Uh-huh.
and that's how I'm getting you now. So, and that works great too.
So the phone is the hotspot, and that's your laptop.
Right.
Yeah.
And my laptop is getting the signal off here. So.
Yep.
Are there recommended, like Hulu and all these other ones? Are there some better than others that you can recommend? I mean, there's so many.
Well, there are so many. I don't know. I have Hulu, and I have Netflix. We watch Netflix more than we watch Hulu.
You have Prime too, don't you? You said Amazon Prime.
I'm sorry?
You have Amazon Prime as well?
Yeah, and Amazon Prime shows up as well.
That's a lot, yeah. Yeah.
But Amazon Prime is part of the membership,
Right. Right.
so there's no.
Prime is great.
Yeah, Prime is wonderful.
Yeah.
There are thousands and thousands. There are a number of sites that you can go to that list all the different streaming packages. You know, and each company has their own version of it. You know, remember what I was looking at the other day? They had like orange was one package and purple was another package. Of course, you got more with purple than you got with orange. But it all depends on what you want to watch. You know, if you want to watch cooking shows, if you want to watch drama, there is such a wide variety of stuff that's available today. There's really no reason to stay locked into to Comcast. I hate to say it, especially you know they pack so many things in, you know, that you're never going to watch. You have no interest in what half of what they give you.
Right.
You know, so why pay for that if you don't have to?
Hey, Mike, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Everything we discussed assumes that you're going to be in one house 12 months a year. If, in fact, let's say you had a place in Florida, can you transfer some of this stuff down there at no cost?
You mean can you take your Roku and pack it in your bag and get down to Florida and hook it up? Is that the question?
The question is even more basic. Can I pack myself up and go to Florida and get on to Comcast?
Yeah, I think Comcast actually offers that. I'm not sure how they do it. I think it's called casting, CASTING casting.
Yes.
I think that's what they do. I mean, you can pretty much go anywhere and look on your laptop or your cell phone for Wi-Fi signals, and you'll find Xfinity there.
Yeah.
And when you log on to Xfinity with your account number and your password, you know, just the way you would log in from home, that gets you wherever you are, everything that you already have from Comcast.
Oh.
And that same logic can be used on a smart TV. You just log on to a smart TV.
Sure.
So the chances are, I'm just making this up, if you're here 6 months in Massachusetts and 6 months in Florida, you might be able to just use your affiliation in Massachusetts and Florida.
I think so.
Like your Samsung account. Yeah.
I think so. And you know, since you mentioned going to Florida, let me just digress a little bit into one other area. How many of you still have your old 567 telephone number? Anybody? Yeah. Well,
Yeah, sure.
No, I just grew attached to it. I don't want to give it up. But I picked up one of these little devices called a Magic Jack for $50 a year. And that's my phone. That connects to my computer, connects to the router, and my telephone system plugs into that, and that's my phone throughout the house. And when we go away for the winter, I unplug it from the router, I throw it in the suitcase, go wherever we happen to be, turn on the laptop, plug it in, and then we usually take the phone from the bedroom, plug it into the Magic Jack, And all of a sudden, my 413-567 number is wherever I am, anywhere in the world. People call your local number, the phone beside the bed rings and you pick it right up. So just something to think about.
So
I
let's
thought that-
say, let's say you had your phone service as part of the bundled package through Comcast.
Yeah.
In a very similar way, my affiliation here in Massachusetts has the phone voice over internet protocol.
Yep.
I go to Florida, I sign in Xfinity. The chances are I could use that same 413 number, 567.
Yeah, I don't know how you. Yeah, I guess you could get a headset, and plug it into the computer and log on to that service and connect to the phone service.
So in
Should be
theory,
able-
once you figure out how to do it, it should work.
Yeah, I don't think it's that hard to figure out. I would just call technical support and ask them. They know how their stuff works.
Oh, technical support at Xfinity.
Yeah, Comcast or whatever they're.
And now, does it take an hour to get through, or is this something you can accomplish?
No, I've never been on hold, a very, very long time. I mean, look, it's very busy these days, and with COVID running around, a lot of people working from home, so there's just not the workforce out there. They have that service that you can tell them to call you back when it's your turn, and you
Okay.
give them your phone number, and you go out doing whatever it is that you're doing, and when your turn comes up, they'll call you back.
Right, right.
Yeah, that works pretty slick.
Another nice feature with Xfinity's telephone service is I'm allowed to get my home phone to ring my cell phone. So wherever I am, I never miss a call. And that's,
Yep.
these are some features that you pay for, but they're very nice. They're nice conveniences
Hmm.
that you wouldn't get otherwise.
It all depends on what you want to pay for.
I know.
No?
Hard to give some things up.
Well, yeah.
I have to get off, but I have one quick question.
Sure.
Getting the Boston sports, is that like, is there a streaming service that offers that, like Nissan and the Celtics and
Absolutely.
and how do you?
Absolutely.
Is it
I'm
Yahoo? I mean, YouTube TV, or is it something along those lines? Or?
YouTube TV, I think, is one of the larger, more popular one now. So I think it's also one of the more expensive. It's $50-$60 a month for YouTube.
Oh, geez, yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, well, and when you add all these little pieces up, that we're trying to do, you're winding up with the same size cable bill.
Yeah.
It's whatever you want. I mean, look, there's, what, I'm going to stay here. My camera's still there. Good. I want to go to a browser, and I will go look for. Just bear with me a minute. Cable. Oh. Streaming channels listing. Let's see what that is. Yeah, so there's streaming TV guides listing all the everything that you could want, from Direct View to PlayStation View to Sling TV, Hulu, Fubo, Pluto's another one, and then of course YouTube.
How did you find that? Where did you search for
I
that?
just did a Google search for streaming channels.
Okay. I want to thank you. Unfortunately, I'm at work, so I have to get off, but I appreciate what you did today.
Well, thank you. Look,
right,
if there's more questions, maybe funnel them to Jill, and I'll find a way of getting them, and I'll answer them. If this was if everybody thought this was pretty productive, then maybe we should plan to do one again.
Okay, thanks, Norm.
Great, thank you so much.
Lindsay,
Thank you,
thank you
Norm.
very much for coordinating this. I appreciate it.
Here, yeah,
All right.
so
And
great.
thumbs up on another session.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm more than willing.
Thank you, Norm.
Thanks a lot.
Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank
Nice and
you.
clear,
Thank
nice and clear, yeah.
Have a good day.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norm. This is so nice.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Helpful. Thank you.
Bye all.
Mhm. So anyone can feel free to email me if you think of questions, and I'll make sure we get them to Norm.
Thank you so much, Norm.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Norm. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you, everyone.
Is Mary Ann still on? No. I'm just Lindsay. I'm looking at the chat screen to see if I can answer a question.
Oh, okay. I didn't have, they must have came just to you then.
They did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can probably get you their email addresses.
Okay. I'll let me grab the screen
Yeah.
before you cut it off. Okay. Got it. Let's we should end the recording.
Yes. Very good. Let's do